Hello and welcome. My name is Thomas, and in this video I wanted to share some quick tips with you about how to get some great clients. So fortunately, regardless of what it is that you're currently doing, there has never been a better time than now to start your own online business and to start taking on clients. One of the biggest challenges, however, that many people run into, and myself included, is finding good clients. Unfortunately, the last, I would say, 2 or 3 years, I've been blessed to work with some of the best clients that I've ever worked with. It's been so much fun to work on the different websites and projects that I've had a chance to collaborate on with particular clients. It wasn't always that way though. When I first started out, when I first started working with clients, some of the clients that I worked with, I ended up having to fire. And I'm going to talk about that process in another video. But in this video, what I wanted to do was just to break down some specific tips that can help you ensure that you're getting the best clients possible. So the first thing that you want to nail down as you are determining which clients you want to take on is that you want to be very clear with yourself, first of all, what your values are. What is it that makes you different? What are the ways that you do your work that are different than the ways that other people in your industry do their work? How much do you charge? Why do you charge that much? Then you also need to start asking your questions like, what are the specific things that I do? What is the style or the manner or the method in which I do things on which I am totally 100% unwilling to compromise? What are things that I do a specific way that I will not change? Then consider what are the things that you will. One of the biggest mistakes that clients or that freelancers or independent professionals make, and I made this very early on, was trying to compete by price. Understand this, if there is one rule when it comes to working with clients, it's that somebody will always be cheaper than you. So a race to the bottom, as it's called by other people out there like Seth Godin, is what a sort by price mentality is. So you have to find something specific about the way that you do your work. Like I said, they could be the values that you hold in the way that you do your work. There could be the craftsmanship and the attention to detail. It could be your communication process. It could be even just your personality. Whatever it is, make sure that you've got something clear, distinctive, and discernible that would make somebody want to choose you over somebody else. The other key reason why that is so important is because if there's too much of a clash between you and your clientele in terms of what your values are, neither you nor the client are going to end up happy. You got to make sure that it's an actual partnership and not necessarily just a one-off service that you're trying, or product or service you're trying to get out the door. The next thing to keep in mind, which has to do with the previous one, is to get rid of this somewhat common idea that it's me versus the client. I'm smart, they're dumb. I know everything, they know nothing, that sort of idea. I've read so many blog posts or articles, particularly in the design industry, because that's what I used to read a lot of starting out. There's so many people who were just kind of bad talking or just complaining about clients that they were working and they don't understand typography and this and that. And I never liked that attitude, because not only does that make it harder for you to do your work, it makes it harder for them to communicate to you. So something that is really important, particularly with the clients I'm working with, I always try to make an extra effort to make it a team effort. I consider myself on their team and them on my team. If there's a particular set of language I'm using which is specific to design or development, I always break that down, put myself in their shoes, and realize that they don't understand all the terminology I've gone to school or have a lot of experience in. Vice versa, I don't know everything about that person's business. In fact, I know very little about it. So I have to take the time not only to research a lot of the ins and outs of that particular person's business, but I have to be very careful to listen. What are the specific things are they trying to portray through this website? Or what specific problems are they solving for their customers? So while you might not be in a B2B space, working hand in hand with your client, understanding that client is going to help you do better work for them. And at the end of the day, they're going to like you and the work that you do better. So get rid of this idea that some people like to hold, that it's me versus the client. Let's get them out the door. Consider that person a team member. Value them, and they're going to value you. And the next tip, which could never be overemphasized, is the need for clarity. Be clear at every step of your process and your project as you're working with new clients. Make sure that your clients are clear with you, and make sure that you are clear with your clients. So specifically, when you are working up your proposal or your quote or your agreement, make sure everything is mapped out in advance. If there's any hurdles or road bumps that you've come across in the past, make sure to address those. Here's a specific example. So when I'm working with a client and I'm building a really big custom website, like I've built in the past things like a stock video website or membership sites or something like that, every single website is different. So what I have to make sure that I do is, sometimes people will say, okay, so how long does a website take? I say, well, every single website is different. However, here's the estimated amount of time it takes to do this piece and this piece and this piece. I can't guarantee how long the whole process will take, because there's revision runs and processes in between all of those steps that I could never account for. I'm clear and I'm upfront with that so that people don't reach the end of the road and say, hey, why is this taking so long? It's going through that extra effort to educate your clients about the process, why it takes the amount of time it takes, why it costs the amount of cost that it costs, and all those different pieces. Making sure that they understand what the next step is. It's also really important as well, this is something I like to make a habit, is to make sure that I'm communicating at least on a weekly basis where things are at. So even if I haven't finished a particular step on a project that I'm working on, I say, hey, here's the process, the amount of distance I've made on this project, here's how it's coming, here's some screenshots, here's a video. Keep them in the loop with what's going on. Try your best not to make them have to reach out to you to ask how the project is going. The other part of that as well is just to make sure that you stay persistent with getting the information that you need. So again, it all depends on the type of work that you do and the type of clients you need. But if you could work up templates, if you could work up, in the past I've talked about a tool called Rocket Typist that has the ability to draft emails for you, that you can fill in placeholders. Think through, what is the information I need to start this project? What is the information I need from them? Put as little hurdles as is humanly possible in front of your client. Always take charge. Don't wait on them to get you information. Tell them exactly what they need for you to be able to do your work successfully. As kind of a side tip as well, if you currently work with email, you might want to consider something like Groove, which is an email support ticket system. Or I actually work one-on-one or with me and my team and their team, if they've got a team as well, within something like Basecamp. Basecamp makes it really easy to collaborate. We can share files, we can do chats, there's a message board system, it's even got email integration. So just whatever it is that you do and the way that you do it, try to always put yourself in the client's shoes to make the process as simple and as streamlined as is humanly possible. And the last tip I wanted to share with you today is by far the most important, and most people are always surprised with me when I tell them, what is the number one tip? What is the one thing that you should do to get better clients? And it is this thing: charge more. I can tell you right now, there is a 90% chance you are not charging enough for your clients. Now, some people say, well, I can't do that. I don't want to, scam people or whatever that is. And that is 100% true. We never would ever want to scam people or to charge people meaninglessly. However, what you want to do is you want to create a way of working or a final product that is worth paying more for. At the end of the day, a Nike shoe costs a lot more than an off-brand shoe. Are these shoes better in terms of performance? Maybe a little bit, but not 3 times the cost worth. It's still, at the end of the day, the same product, same materials. One is just slightly better. The reason people pay more is because they're paying for a particular brand. They're paying for what those shoes represent. So while we're not just trying to inflate the price because it's got a particular logo or face attached to it, what you want to always aim to do is to provide a level of products and services that are so much higher than the competition that it is always worth paying more. People shouldn't want to just buy a, accounting service. They should want to buy XYZ accounting service, your particular way of doing accounting services, because they like working with you. So similar to what I was talking about earlier in this video, It is so important. You just want to make sure that whatever you do, whatever type of clients you want to take on, you want to make sure that you are never the sort by price option out there. You don't ever want to be fighting or competing on price, because somebody will always be cheaper than you. You always want to be have a distinct way or style or implementation of doing your particular service that is going to make people willing to pay more for you. And one of the best ways to do that is to ensure that you are charging more. One of the things that I've actually done purposefully in the past with some of my particular service and even some of my products is to go out, find my competition, and purposely charge more. Again, not because I want to scam people, but A, because I want to do better work, and B, because I want to make sure that if people are paying to do business with me, they're doing it because they specifically want to do it with me and not just get the project done as quickly and as cheaply as possible. And by the way, I would say that most of the clients, or I would say every single client that I've ever had who has been willing to pay more specifically to work with me, have been the best clients that I've ever worked with. Okay, so that's it. I just wanted to share some of those quick tips with you. I know that working with clients has become an endlessly useful way, not only to build a business, but also to serve more people out there. And the web has become an even greater place to do that with all the tools and the tactics that are available for us today. So as always, if you found this video useful, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.